Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, today we're going to talk about, is he in it for the addiction to the sugar high of attention, or is he looking for meaningful connection? Is he looking for a hookup, or is he looking for a relationship? This is the one thing that I want all of you to know inside and out. I want you to be able to figure this out within seconds of meeting some guys. It's going to be so obvious to you. For some guys, it might take you a few days or a few weeks or even a few months. Some of these guys do not give you all of the red flags. Everybody wants to know the red flags. How do I know he's a jerk? How do I know if he's the guy that's looking for the hookup? I want to be able to figure this out right away. Well, this is why this concept exists, because I got so sick of getting tricked. I would think, oh my God, this is such a great guy. And then no, he would turn into a jerk. And I always felt like, God, why do I have to tell so many people when I'm excited about it? And then, oh yeah, what happened to that guy? And then, it's just like too many times where I felt embarrassed. And then I finally got to that point in creating Gumball Love. And I'm not going to tell that whole story right now, but I got to a point where it was like, enough is enough. I'm going to figure this out. And so this whole concept is about giving you that immediate, gumball guy. He's putting in a quarter to get the gumball. So what does that process look like early on? And how can I tell if this guy's trying to get that quick fix? If he wants a stimulant, he wants to be soothed, he wants something, but he's not trying to connect. And a lot of times when he's seeking that stimulant, he's putting in the quarter, which means he's doing something, right? He's doing something to provoke a response from you. And that response is what gives him that high off of attention. But that high looks like interest in you, looks like meaningful interest. It can be deceiving. And so I want to just go through with you some of these red flags that indicate he's got a craving. So sometimes when that craving is really strong, man, they really put in those quarters. So quarters a lot of times are things that make you want to have sex with him. So I'm not going to give away the quarters right now, because I want you to think about what is it that he does that makes you send the sexy selfie? Because I think I could name 100 things, and there's so many conversations going on. So I want you to just think, okay, have I sent a sexy selfie? I think we've all sent one. Okay. So when you're holding the camera and you're making the face and you got your boobs hiked up, which I'm going to do a whole podcast on, put your boobs away. You guys, the boobs. I mean, what is going on? Like, it's not a good look. When we have our boobs out and we're making the duck face, which we need to stop immediately, it's telling him that's the response. That is the boobs, all the lips. I'm pushing my boobs together right now, like on your neck thing. He's getting high off of that, right? He's like, ooh. So then what he says, whatever he says back, because for some of us, that same response would be like, ew, I can't believe he would say that. And then for other girls, it's like, oh, thank you. Oh my God. And so in that situation, in a lot of these situations, we're just giving each other gumballs. Oh my gosh, your boobs are so amazing. Oh my God, thanks you. Oh, thank you. And then we're just doing this back and forth, and we're getting high and he's getting high and he's getting you high. So there's this just back and forth exchange. And so this quarter for Gumball, this is where are we building meaningful connection? When we're saying, I want to look for the red flags. Melissa, tell me how I can not meet this guy. And I want to find somebody who wants meaningful connection. So one, you've got to stop taking that bait. You've got to stop when he puts in the quarter and he says, what's your bra size? What's your cup size? That guy gets eliminated. When guys ask those questions, they are not long-term meaningful relationship guys. And it's so hard to just freaking, like we used to say, let's bring back the phrase, filter like a freak. You have to filter out guys. You have to cut, block, remove, whatever. When I was on Match.com, I remember once I eliminated a guy, like, okay, I never want to see this guy come up in the search. It's always like the guy that he's like, it's like, this guy always comes up. Hey, here's your 3 matches of the day. And it's like, there's one dude that just cycles through and you're like, all right, Match.com, I'm over that dude. So you could actually remove it so it doesn't come back up. So once you have a conversation that then he says the stuff like that, you're just like, okay, I'm done with that guy and I never want to see him come up in the search. Will he sit there and wonder what happened? I used to have so much guilt. I go, well, maybe I should send him a little goodbye or, sorry, but good luck in your search. Screw that. You don't have time for that. There's thousands of them on there. So we're not here to he didn't send you a gift. You don't have to write him a thank you letter. I mean, you know what I mean? We're just too nice. We're trying to over communicate. I used to hate online dating just because it was another inbox to manage. So stop sending too many messages to guys that you will never speak to again. You're never going to have a conversation and you're not going to go to his house for any holidays. You know what I mean? So you have to, okay, you asked me how my bra size, you're done. You never hear from me again. Can you imagine if this happened? How guys would get the picture right away that you can't say those things. But they're out there going, hi, how R, letter U. Hey, what's up? R, letter U, awake, you up? I mean, they're sending these things in the first message. Block, delete, block. If you really want to meet someone and you're still talking to those guys, you're not in the place where you know what you're looking for. So if we really want to know the red flags, because I feel like we know the red flags, yet we're so afraid to filter. Should name this podcast, Are you afraid to reject them? Because I think we're afraid to do it. I know I used to be. I used to think, man, what if this guy just is, he doesn't do online dating and maybe he's just being sarcastic, or, maybe this is somebody that I could give a chance to. Maybe he was having an off day. I would make excuses because I would see a picture, I would see a profile, and I would create a character in my mind. And then when he would do something out of that character, I would make an excuse for it and spend time texting only to have him say some crappy thing and then be like, I knew it. I should have trusted my gut instinct. But to be honest, I wasn't trusting my gut instinct because I didn't have enough confidence in myself. Sometimes these words, self-confidence, like we just throw them out there, but we have to have confidence in our own instincts and trust them and go with them and execute on those decisions and not hold back and question. The second you feel it, the second you see a guy do something like that, he's not the one. And you have to let go, no matter how cute the picture was, no matter what the other circumstances are. This is when you have to just, bam, cut it and go and feel good about it, because it will start to feel better. Will you? Sometimes I would clean out the whole inbox and I'd be like, well, great, I just filtered everybody out and now there's no one. And you know what? That was good because none of them were the one. And so when there was no one in my inbox, do you know what I started doing? I started focusing more on doing things like this. I started focusing on ballroom dancing, and then I lost 40 pounds, and then I created the Back to You Academy, and just everything came together because I started filtering. I would date, but I would eliminate. And then about middle of 2018 somewhere, I just decided online dating, I didn't even want to do that anymore. I've already told that story, different podcast, but you get to a point where you develop a lifestyle that no longer can tolerate that kind of behavior. So why can't we see the red flags? Because one, we give in too quickly. We are too nice. And when I say too nice, I don't want you to start to be mean. And I also don't want you to lecture. You cannot lecture these guys. Please keep them untrained wild animals. Let him say hi and how are letter U to the next girl so that he never knows that's the reason he's being eliminated. And then that girl that gets that text from that guy, hopefully she'll hear this podcast by then and then she'll ignore him. You know what I mean? Like help the next girl out. Don't tell him what he's doing wrong. If you are telling him what he's doing wrong, he is not the guy, especially if you have to do it in the first few conversations. If you have to tell him, you know what, that's really not nice, or I'm not going to talk to some guy that's not going to respect me. You can't say that, because if you say that, you're teaching him, right? It's like you become this old lady with the glasses on the edge of her nose and you're lecturing him. You've got your little pointy finger, and that's not sexy. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you want. You're looking for your equal. So you can't lecture your equal. You're not going to tell the man of your dreams, this is the way it's going to be. I need you to do X, Y, Z lecturing. It doesn't work that way. So we have to get out of that mindset, and we have to develop a life that we start to think, okay, what fits in to this lifestyle? What fits me? What am I looking for? Because if you're focused on red flags, which is good, that's why we're doing this podcast, but if we're focused so much on the red flags, we probably don't really know what we're looking for. So as much as what you're trying to see as the bad things, you also want to know, what are those good things that I'm looking for? What do I want to hear? What do I want to see? What kind of men are you around where you feel good? Do you have any men in your life, non-romantic, friends, husbands, people that you start to say, you know, her husband is really nice and I can just sit and have a lovely conversation and he respects what I say and there's a nice flow and he loves his wife or his girlfriend and you can hang out. I want you to start thinking, who are those people? Even if it's a grandparents, even if you're just sitting there and talking to your grandpa, that is okay. If he's the kind of guy that listens and pays attention to you, whoever it is, if it's a coworker, I want you to start noticing the healthy relationships you already have with men, even if it's only one. That is such an important energy to sync up to, because you want to start recognizing that similar type of energy in the men that are on these online dating apps. So if you're talking to a guy that is just a friend of your, a husband of one of your friends, well, let me come back to that because I want to give you some red flag. Let's just go over red flag versus what does it look like when it's a normal guy. So the guy that is the gumball guy, the guy that's going to waste your time, it's lazy communication right off the bat. So you just start having a conversation and you get the hi. So then you respond back, hi. He's like, how are you doing? Good. How are you? Good. What you up to tonight? We don't even know each other, right? So immediately there's no formal introduction. So normal guy, hey, my name is so-and-so, read your profile, would love to get to know you better. How was your weekend? Even just the smallest bit of effort, even if a dude has a copy and paste message. I mean, I think I even did copy and paste messages where, you were just doing kind of your standard greeting and it's not the most personal, but what it says is, I have class. I'm willing to put forth real effort. I'm willing to communicate in a nice and polite way. I'm not going to reach out to somebody that I might potentially date and give her, 8 letters in a sentence and then hope it works out. Like, this is not how respectable people communicate. Also, he'll be the guy on the gumball guy. What I've noticed is they're cryptic with their texts. It's like lazy, and then sometimes it's cryptic. Like, you're trying to have a conversation, but it's like, are you doing something else while you're talking? Because, now texting develops a tempo. You say something, I say something, and, there can be a little bit of a lag here or there. Somebody's switching laundry out or, making a meal or whatever, but you know what I mean? Everybody gets into a certain tempo and then he's gone for a couple of hours and then he comes back and it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on because you don't know each other. And so even in those situations where they don't have that awareness to be like, wow, I just left this conversation for 2 hours. There needs to be enough awareness to say, hey, I'm going to grab a bite to eat. I'm going to be gone for a few minutes. Are you going to be around later? Just something quick like that shows consideration. My significant other and I still do that to this day. It's like, hey, we'll be in the same house and we're doing that just because there's always a respect for each other's time, a respect for what the other person is doing, how they're feeling, all of those things. These are things that are just naturally in us that are respectable people, but we go on these dating sites and we immediately lower our standards. You guys, I used to do this all the time. And it's like, why? Why are we just, okay, I guess I'll say hi back to the guy saying hi, because maybe he's just a magoo online and he doesn't know any better. Well, then do you want the guy that doesn't know any better? Like, I had to start thinking, I don't want that guy. I don't want that guy. I'm be willing to let go of that guy. You are better than the Gap. Do you guys remember? I just thought, be better than the Gap. I just thought of the movie Crazy Stupid Love, but if you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. Go watch Crazy Stupid Love. It's so funny. But you know what I mean? Be better than the how are you guy. Be better. Expect complete sentences and punctuation. You know what I mean? Punctuation is good, and effort and, class, style, originality. These are all things that we should be expecting. And I know it sounds like, oh my gosh, Melissa, this is a lot to ask because are you looking for your husband or are you looking for, if you're looking for a hookup, then you don't need any of this advice. You can just go on Tinder and you can get hookups all day long, but that's not why you're here. That's not who you are. You're looking for the real thing. You want true love. You want somebody who's going to be committed to you and love you. And if that's what you want, then you have to be willing to eliminate these guys when they show up and they show you who they are. You have to, like Maya Angelou says, believe them the first time. Don't doubt your instincts. And so this gets back to it's always a marriage between knowing what you want and knowing who you are, and also being able to recognize those red flags. But as you know who you are, and we're going to keep coming back to this topic because it is really the foundation and it's the end all be all. When we know who we are, then we start to know what and who we want. And then we are able to, it's not even about red flags. It is about red flags in some aspects, but it really just becomes, this person is not going to fit into my life. This person is not going to sync up to what's important to me. So then you get back to, what are my values? What is this person even aligned with what I believe? And even in those areas, it's like, I remember thinking about, and I won't even say what they are because my personal value is not the issue. It's more of things that were really important, things that make you get fired up and passionate about, whether it's a political issue or whether it's about your faith or something you really believe in, something that is, it's that thing that I know something we can all agree on. If someone is mean to an animal, that is a deal breaker. That there's no quicker way to lose my respect than if you're mean to an animal, especially, any animal, but the smaller and more innocent. It's just like that kind of cruelty to something that cannot defend itself. To me, it's one of the lowest of all lows. And so can you imagine trying to be with somebody who didn't love animals or thought that was okay and was like, oh, they deserve it. It's just a dumb dog. Like, could you even stand it? Like these are the things you're like, no, I could not. That's it. That is like No, that's the deal breaker, right? So I want you to think about other things that fire you up. Can you be with a guy that isn't aligned with that? You know what I mean? Can you imagine? Because I think we're looking at guys online and we're in we're in the fantasy fairy tale, like, oh, he's so cute and first dates and first kisses and blah, blah, blah. But let's talk about, 2, 3, 4, 6 months in and, you're just sitting on the couch next to each other and it's not all romantic and ooey gooey. And then he believes in XYZ and you don't. And you start to see your core values are off. Like, you need to imagine, can I deal with that long term? What does that feel like? What does that look like? And really go deep on the things that are important to you. And you might feel like, oh my God, I don't even know what's important to me. Like, some of us have gotten to places where we haven't even thought about what we believe, what we are really passionate about, what's important, what we hold most precious to us. And you have tons of things. Book a one-on-one coaching session with me and I will find them for you. We will talk it through and I would love to help you really dig in because I can ask you all the questions that will help you identify it because you are in there under all those layers of hurt and the scars and the pain and the guy who stripped you of your identity and the guy who made you doubt everything that you believe. You are still in there. And I believe sometimes we're in that tight rosebud where we're just, the petals are just, they're all in there. You are there right now. There is no becoming something or adding something to you. Everything that makes you beautiful and perfect is all right here, right now. And the only thing that I want to help you do and that I want to see you do is cultivate and nurture the soil around you, the nutrients that you put in so that you start to open up and really bloom and see. I'm like holding my arms out, but that is the process. It's not changing you. It's allowing you to bloom, to open up, to really see, oh my gosh, this is who I am. And this is great. And it is enough. It is enough right now. But the thing is, when you haven't bloomed, when those petals aren't visible, even you can't see them. So even you aren't really aware of what's already inside. And so I think a lot of people are like dating and they're all these like little rosebuds walking around. And very few people have fully bloomed. They're not opened up. They're not feeling like, okay, yes, I like this part about me and this part about me and all the things that come out through this process of finding ourselves and loving who we are. It's so hard to love who we are. I mean, is this like the weirdest thing ever that it was nearly impossible for me to do this because I grew up with a very critical family. Everyone was critical of themselves and critical of other people, right? A lot of low self-esteem all around, but that criticism, when we're being critical, we have that false sense of confidence, like, oh, they're stupid and I'm so much better than them. But really it means we are feeling low about ourselves. And so all of that criticism about myself and being in bad relationships, it probably will be a lifelong journey for me to fully be there. I don't know that any of us fully arrive, completely loving ourselves 100% and thinking, that we never have doubts. I don't know anyone that is at that full point, but I do remember crossing over and getting to the point of settling for the wrong person or settling for an almost okay person is much worse than being single. So when we're so down on ourselves about being single, that's when we just focus on meeting the guy and then we just focus on hoping that we're not going to miss any red flags. But we're still the tight rosebud. We still haven't bloomed. We still haven't blossomed. We still aren't able to really show anyone who we are because we don't know it and we don't love it. So we don't even know what it looks like. You know what I mean? Like, who are you really? Do you even know? So if you think about it, if you're out there and you don't even know who you are and you're hiding most of yourself, even from yourself, and And it's not even something you could even say, okay, I'm really going to look into myself. You have to take risks and put yourself out there and do the work to really see, okay, I had to do, like, ballroom dancing is the best example. I realized how unsexy I felt when I was trying to do sexy dance moves in the Rumba or the cha-cha. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. And then now I'm in front of people. And by pushing myself through it, I gained that confidence and comfort in my own skin. I was like, but I had to do something scary. I had to do something uncomfortable to then feel comfortable. And so it's those kinds of things that then stretched me out. And then little petals started to bloom. I started to open up. And I remember my teacher would be like, Melissa, let go. Because I was holding so tight. It was like, I just was so afraid to be seen. And when we're afraid to be seen, we're not really dating in our most authentic selves. And so if I'm not my most authentic self and I'm just hiding who I am and I'm looking for red flags, then I might meet somebody nice, but then who is this person dating this other person? You know what I mean? Like, you have to give yourself a chance. So knowing who you are, knowing what are you looking for? What is it that is going to fit into your life? Who are you really? What is important to you? I want you to really think about these things. And I know this might be a tougher podcast to hear because this is going to push you a little. This is a little ouchy. This is a little like tough love from Melissa. But when I hear, what are the red flags? Or someone else asked, if I'm turning 40 next month, are guys going to eliminate me? It's like, oh my, we're going to answer this with my significant other here. I think in a couple of weeks, we're working on sound and microphones, and we want to be able to podcast in the same room. So we're going to cover this age question. But I asked him, I said, do you think it matters if a girl's 40 and she's dating? Like, do guys look at somebody who's 40 differently? And he goes, no. It's just like so fast. No. And I was like, really? And he's, yeah. I mean, what kind of a guy does she want? I mean, what kind of guy do you want? It was like such a simple question. What kind of guy do you want? Do you want a guy that looks at 40 and thinks, oh, I can't date someone that's 40? And who is that guy? And how old is he? You know what I mean? So, and I think too, when you turn 40 or 41, 42, this happened to me in New York, where then I started getting the messages from the guys in their 20s, like late 20s, where I was like, as my sister would say, oh, peanut. It's like, no, I'm not dating you in your 20s. But I think when you're a woman in her late 30s or early 40s, mid 40s, whatever, you can date a even wider span. You can date the 28-year-olds that want to date the older women, but we know why they want to date older women. But then, not all of them are looking for just the older woman. Sometimes they are more mature and they really do want a relationship with somebody that's more settled and that is more steady. They don't want to date somebody who's young. So you never know who. Everyone is an individual. Guys are a group. And I'm going to say it, and we'll say it again. One penis does not speak for all penises. So guys do not speak for all. I don't speak for all women. I mean, there's a ton of relationship podcasters and we're all saying different things, right? But we're probably, if there were any relationship podcaster or relationship expert, we all do agree on knowing who you are, knowing your own worth and value, knowing what you bring to the table, and then knowing what you are even looking for. But man, it's hard to know what you're looking for. It's like, okay, what if I decide what I'm looking for and then am I just going to eliminate this guy over here who I just said I want someone who is the same faith as me, and he says he doesn't have any faith, but he's really nice? Like, what do I do? Do I just still eliminate him because I said that yesterday and now here's this guy who's cute and interested, but he just, he's more into science and he's not into faith? Like, what do? You know what I mean? I used to think, man, well, maybe I would be the person that would introduce him to my faith. And what if I'm going to do that? Is that okay? I would be having this conversation with myself because I wasn't sure. And I hadn't gotten to the point where I decided, no, this is a deal breaker. And I have to say goodbye to guys that are not aligned with me in these areas. And it's difficult, but can I tell you, I found somebody who aligns in all those areas. I've had hundreds of times where I've thought, oh my God, I couldn't do this with somebody that doesn't align with my faith, doesn't align with my values. I mean, I can say anything that I am, what I believe, without hesitation because we're aligned in those areas. I fall in love with that. So we're not going to fall in love with the schmoopy. We're going to fall in love with who they are underneath. We're going to fall in love with the heart and the mind. And so that's where we have to go deeper than the fantasy of the romance. You guys, we're so focused on romance, and I'm writing this part in the book right now about the fantasy. If you're in the private Facebook group, I just asked, what's your favorite love story? And so just as a side note, I want you to think about that if you haven't seen the post in the private Facebook group, or maybe you saw it and you were like, I don't know what my favorite love story is. It doesn't have to be one. Just make a little list. Pull out a note in your phone and just say, okay, what are those movies? And I chose the big ones like The Notebook and Twilight and, Sex and the City, or even things like Cinderella. For me, it was Cinderella, and then it was The Little Mermaid when I was growing up. And then in high school, I think Beauty and the Beast came out because I used to babysit this little kid. Her name was Jordy. I'll never forget her. And she loved Beauty and the Beast. And every time I babysat her, we'd have to watch Beauty and the Beast. So I saw it, 100 times when I was babysitting her. And so those movies, though, they lay a fabric in our mind of this is love, this is romance, this is what it's supposed to look like. I've talked to people who even grew up with parents that are still married today, and they realized, I wasn't really using my parents as the example. I was watching movies, I was reading books, I was listening to the lyrics of songs. My girl Steph, that's helping me put the book together, she said, think about musical lyrics. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Music and all of these things that create this euphoria around romance. And then we're talking to a guy and maybe his first message isn't, hi, how are you? It's, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And you sit and think, oh man, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. And then he goes on and on and on and doesn't even introduce himself. He just lays on the compliments, and that sounds good because in the movies, we see these intense exchanges that are really, sometimes they're sassy and exciting, and sometimes they're really mushy and romantic. And so whatever it is for you, because I don't want to give too many examples. I want you to think about it like, okay, what was I watching when I was young? And you know what else I was thinking about? It was Barbie and Ken. I was telling my boyfriend this. I go, I used to play with Barbie, and my parents would not get the Barbie dream house. So I had Barbie home and office. And I don't know if you ever had it, but it was like this thing that rolled up, and you rolled it out, and then Barbie was at home on one side, and then she was at her office on the other side. So when she was at her office, if you looked at her calendar, it said date with Ken on Thursday. And then on Tuesday, it was date with Mark. And so, I'm a little kid and I'm playing with Barbie, and I'm like, oh, Barbie goes on dates. Barbie goes on dates with Ken and Mark. Who was the Mark doll? We never met Mark, but you know what I mean? Like, we knew Ken was the main guy maybe, but it was like, well, who's Mark? I just remember that. I just remember thinking, oh, so Barbie's cool, and she goes on dates with boys. And she has long blonde hair, and she rides around in a Corvette, because I had the Barbie Corvette. I know, that was cool. But she had to slum it in her studio apartment because we didn't have the dream house. So she had the apartment and the Corvette. So yeah, and I would put Barbie and Ken in the Corvette, and I would push them around on the carpet. I don't really know what I was thinking about, what were they doing. I don't think I had very complex thoughts. It was just Barbie and Ken going on a date and I wish I had recordings of the fake conversations I would do with, what they were talking to each other about. But regardless, what are we doing? We're playing with dolls that are adults, and they're in a relationship, which apparently she's cheating on Ken with Mark. Hopefully Ken doesn't come over and see the calendar and realize he's not the only show in town. It's like so weird. I know I'm so random, but like I just think about how did all of that come together? Because for me, all of the accumulation of parents divorcing, looking at all the fantasy, and then going out into the dating world, my first love breaking my heart by cheating on me, and then I just dated a series of gumball guys, with some exceptions here and there, but for the most part, it was just this vicious cycle I couldn't break. And so when I went back, I was like, where did I get this idea about love and romance? So I want you to think about that. We're going to go into a lot more depth, so don't worry, I'll come back to this topic. It's going to be in the book because I'm officially writing the book. I don't know when it's coming out. I'll get closer to that point, but I'm deep into the writing process right now, and I'm trying not to rush myself because I want to make sure that this is the most amazing book. So a lot of the questions I'm asking, if you do coaching with me and you feel like I think I have a story that you might want to hear right now, if you do coaching with me and we talk about it, it could very well be a part of the book. So if you're interested in that and you want your story to be a part of the book, you think other women could learn from your story, absolutely. So all my clients will be, with their permission, of course, will be part of the book, because my stories are one thing, but as I put this out into the world, I started to see gumball love is happening everywhere. And this is a pattern, and it's so many of us. And so I want us to be able to enjoy a fairy tale. I want us to be able to enjoy movies with unrealistic romance, or for us to say, maybe this part or this part is unrealistic, but actually this might have been able to happen, but not getting so caught up in it that we're out on these dating sites and going on dates with stars in our eyes, making situations that are actually not that romantic or that intense, but we intensify them because we get ready for the whole day, like start your hair and makeup at 3:00 in the afternoon when your date's not until 7, but you're just like, we've all done it. You take forever to pick out your outfit and you do your hair for 2 hours. It's like, we're just we have these really high expectations, and it's just a dude, right? Just a dude. He's just, hoping to meet a nice girl. Not that it can't be exciting, but when we way overdo it, we're not seeing it with realistic eyes. We're not able to be calm and comfortable in our own skin. You'll be like me, floating on the ceiling like I was on one particular date that I'll be talking about more. But it's like when we're like that, we're not being ourselves. We're not grounded. We can't see straight. And we're just, again, we're not ourselves. So when you're not yourself, you're not going to be able to connect with somebody else in an authentic way. And so really, it's just a bunch of gumballs on the days. We're just high and we're floating around and we're not making real connections. And that's what we want to do. That's where we want to get. So, okay, so I kind of went off my notes here. So let's just go back to, let's wrap this up with some rapid fire red flags. Cryptic communication, slow communication, inconsistent, somebody who's busy. Are you on a dating site and now you're too busy to be on the dating site? You're so busy you don't have time to text people. Like, get rid of those people. Oh, I'm really busy. I've really been working a lot, and he's just super inconsistent. Don't even bother. Don't even respond. Don't even say, oh, okay, well, it sounds like you don't have time to date. Don't even say that. It's like the second you feel that he initiated or there was communication and now he's too busy or he's working all the time and he's going to get back to you, screw that guy. Like, you deserve to be a priority. You're going to make him a priority. So why are we wasting time on these guys? Oh my God, if I could go back and just, I want to go back just so I can filter them out again. No, not really. I don't want to do that. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's such a waste of time. And I see it so clearly now. And I used to be so much slower to make these decisions. So I want you to speed up that filter. Bam, bam, bam. Delete, block, delete, block, delete, block. Be done. And it will be so, you know what I just thought of? Oh my God. So going back to the flower blooming, if you've ever had flowers, like in a garden, what do you have to do to make them grow and bloom? Let's pick a rose bush. You have to prune. So there are flowers that die or they wilt. And so think of dating as you're pruning, because as you prune those dead branches and those dead blooms off, The other one, it gives more life. And so when we're filtering out, we're pruning that dead energy that's not going to contribute anything, because you're only going to focus on the things that are only focus on the blooms. And I'm getting caught up in my metaphors, but you know what I'm saying? Like if we prune out the bad, then it helps us grow. So if I'm pruning out the dead leaves, it's all they are. It's dead leaves. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to turn into a relationship. So if we stand there and we focus on it, it's like there's no life there. Okay, just a random thought. He doesn't ask questions. He should be trying to get to know you. Like if you are into somebody, you are curious about them. You're asking questions about their friends, about their family, what they do for a living, with how their workday was. All of those things, they want to get to know you. So what's the opposite of that look like? Or not the opposite, I'm sorry. So I'm looking at what's the opposite of cryptic. So being open. People that are open to connection, their communication is consistent. It has a nice tempo. He has time. He makes time, and he gets to know you. Okay? It's, if you've been out of the dating world for a while, one of the things I hate to hear women say is, I've just been out of this dating thing for a while and I don't really know all the rules. There are no rules. This is just making connections, building a relationship, getting to know somebody, and spending time together. That's it. It's not complicated. Being able to have a phone conversation. So, obviously the obvious things, if you're texting somebody, then there needs to be a phone call. And then there needs to be a date set where you actually meet and get to know each other. These things need to be progressing, because people that are ready for a healthy relationship do not want to do this through a text message and never see the person that they're communicating with. And I realize that we're in the time of the Rona, and that may change things, but I will tell you, as coaching and hearing people and all the DMs, people are still dating, they're still connecting, they're still making it work. So whatever you have to do to work around it, but people are still meeting and getting together. That you cannot sit and wait for somebody that's wasting your time. So they will make the effort. They will be consistent. This will happen. But when we spend time with people that continually disappoint in this area, that they never show up or they show up inconsistently, and you're just there waiting for when they do, you tell yourself, you're teaching yourself, it's okay if someone doesn't respect my time. It's okay if he tells me he'll call me in 2 weeks because he's really busy right now, and I just make myself available in 2 weeks because I just want to go out with him so bad. I've been there. I totally get it. However, now I want you to ask yourself, and I would ask Melissa from years ago, why would you want to spend time with somebody who isn't really that excited about spending time with you? I always reverse this. When anyone is on the fence about a guy when I'm coaching them, I'll always say, okay, if the guy felt about you the way you feel about him right now, would you want him to continue the relationship? And this is when they're kind of like, let's say she's kind of getting grossed out by him. He's a little bit grossed out by you, but he thinks you're really nice, and, he's willing. She's like, oh my God, no, I would want him to leave right now. I'm like, exactly. You wouldn't want somebody who felt kind of lukewarm about you. You wouldn't want them to just stay. So, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want that. You want somebody who's excited and can't wait to see you and can't wait to spend more time with you and misses you when you're gone. This is what we want. And so I know it seems simple, but what I see from my side in coaching all of you and encouraging you, it's that this becomes harder and harder to remember as we go on these dating sites. And it's like, it wears you down. I mean, looking through the profiles, trying to weed through the messages and go through the sleazy comments, it wears you down. And then that's when you start to think, oh, maybe I'm being too picky. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe, am I getting too old? Or what if I have too many dogs or too many cats or my kids are this or whatever. Like we start thinking and stretching, and then our standards get lower. And then when we lower our standards, we let more through the filter. And now you just have more through that filter, but you want to filter it down to one. Only one gets through. We're not trying to get this filter down to where we've got 10 guys at the end. We're just looking for one. So you have to keep remembering that even when it doesn't look like the right one is there, it's just because when your filter is that strong, that's how it's supposed to look. Sometimes your inbox is going to be empty. Sometimes Match.com or Hinge or Bumble, whatever you're using, sometimes it's going to feel like a desert where there's nobody. Everyone goes through it. It's like sometimes you have 4 guys that are like, hey, there's 4 guys and they're messaging me, and you're like, you're building all these, having these fun conversations. And then slowly those 4 guys like, oh, that was so fun for a while. And now I'm down to 0 again. It happens to everyone. So you have to just know this is part of the process, and it doesn't mean that your value changed. You still have the same petals. You're still that same beautiful rose, and it just takes time. So stay patient. Remember, think about, know what you want, know what you need, what do you want, and do those things that build your confidence. Stretch yourself out of your comfort zone however you can. And I know it's so hard to think of ways to get out and ways to do things. And I'm going to try to think about that during the time of Rona. You could do a podcast like I'm doing if this was super uncomfortable for me at first, or doing a live broadcast. That can be really uncomfortable. Public speaking is, we can do this in a live format. Another confidence builder I'll tell you is when people are doing all these online video, like WebEx or Zoom for work, you have that option sometimes where you can turn off your camera. If you're doing conference calls, some people are on camera, some people are off. Be the person that's on camera. Makes you have to do your hair and makeup. It gets you ready for the day, and you communicate differently. You sit up straighter. You're paying attention during meetings, and it builds confidence. So there's all these things you can be doing, and I'll try to think of more because, right now getting out and being in groups is more difficult, but there are things we can still do virtually that get us out of our comfort zone. Because out of your comfort zone, the more uncomfortable you are, in the temporary, makes you more comfortable in your skin in the long term. So anyway, I know I've given you a lot today, and if you hung with me this whole time, I'm so proud of you. This is tough work to do. Searching for love is not easy. It's like, I thought it was going to take forever, but just hang in there, okay? Because it is worth the wait. Be picky, because once you find it, you'll be like, oh, I get it. Yeah. How did I ever think I could settle? You will know why you can't settle once you find that person. But let me tell you a little secret. When you figure out how to be happily single, and you really, like for real, because I used to try to pretend like I was happily single and I wasn't quite there yet. But when you really get into your groove and you see, oh, okay, it's not going to be overnight. But when you start figuring out what you really love to do, and you surround yourself with the things that you enjoy, and that's a whole other podcast. But when you really figure out how you can be happily single, you will enjoy it. And so I want you to just know, enjoy your single time, because it's going to come to an end. The day you meet the love of your life, your single life is over. And I know for a lot of us, you're like, yes, that's what I want. However, we don't want to be hating our single life. We've got to you want the love of your life to meet you when you love your life. Hey, seriously though, do you want to meet someone who, hey, I really hate my life, I'm glad I met you? No, we're not looking for someone who hates their life. We're not looking for a sad person. So we can't be the sad person. We got to snap out of it. We've got to figure all this stuff out, figure out what we love, what we want to do, all the things we've talked about, because you want to be that happy person. You want to be ready for love and ready to fall in love. Okay? So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that. And if you have any topics, any questions that you would like the male perspective on, we will have a boy's voice on this podcast, because I think we could use a little change up on the podcast. So if you would like the male perspective, shoot me a DM, melissa@gumballlove.com. So that's actually an email, not a DM, but whatever you get it. Or you can DM me on Instagram, the Melissa Ledger, MELISSALEGER. All right, until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballlove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.